place. Nothing really makes sense. It's like a puzzle.
There's been a ton of great adult animated shows in the last few years. And you've probably scrolled past some of the most beautiful, brutal, and absolutely unhinged storytelling without even realizing it. So I've put together a list of the absolute best adult animated shows you need to watch immediately. Starting us off is The Legend of Vox Machina on Prime Video. It follows a ragtag group of 7 foul-mouthed mercenaries called Vox Machina, and they're so broke they'll take any job just to pay off their debts. So when the Council of Emon offers a massive reward to anyone who can stop a beast that's been butchering people in the countryside, they jump on the job. But digging into the mystery lands them in the path of a terrifyingly powerful couple who staged a bloody coup years ago to take over a city called Whitestone. And this is bad because one of the team members, Percy DeRollo, has a direct bloody history with them. Percy's also being haunted by a shadow entity that's pushing him toward vengeance. So now the team has to decide whether they're just in it for the gold or whether they're actually the heroes the world needs. There are 3 seasons out right now, and season 4 is expected to drop in July, so now's the perfect time to binge. And if you fall in love with that world, you have to watch the sequel series, The Mighty Nein. It jumps ahead about 20 years to a different continent with a whole new group of outcasts. This one has a wizard named Caleb who's running from a traumatic past, and his best friend Not is a chaotic goblin rogue with a serious drinking problem. These two cross paths with a flamboyant circus performer named Mollymock and a blue tiefling named Jester, and they all end up at a traveling carnival where a terrifying invisible monster starts tearing people apart in the middle of the show. But because our main characters are the only ones crazy enough to fight back, they end up being the ones standing over the bodies when the guards burst in. So they become the prime suspects. And while they're trying to clear their names, they stumble onto a heist involving a relic so powerful 2 warring nations are willing to kill for it. So now they're caught in the crosshairs of an international war. And they have to decide if they'll stop being aimless mercenaries and start becoming heroes who shape the fate of their world. The Mighty Nein premiered in November 2025 with 8 episodes of 40 to 50 minutes. And while it's much more mature and cinematic than Vox Machina, the characters are still deeply flawed and morally gray, and the mystery behind their backstories is just as addictive. But if you want something even more chaotic, Creature Commandos is a direct follow-up to Suicide Squad and kicks off right after the events of Peacemaker, where Amanda Waller has been banned from using human prisoners. But Waller isn't exactly a rule follower, so she finds a loophole. If she can't use humans, she'll just use non-humans who technically don't have rights. And that leads to Task Force M with Rick Flag Sr., who's there to seek revenge for his son. He's also joined by the bride, her ex-husband Frankenstein, and a radioactive burning skeleton called Dr. Phosphorus. Rounding off the group is a fish lady scientist, a Nazi-punching android from World War II, and a giant bug-eyed weasel that may or may not be a serial killer. So Waller sends this monster squad on a Black Ops mission to a country called Pakistan to stop a coup. But the team is a complete disaster, and they spend as much time trying not to kill each other as they do the enemy. Each episode dives into a different character's backstory, so you'll learn a lot more about what's going on with them. There's only 1 season out right now, but the show is the very first project in James Gunn's new DC universe, and season 2 is currently in production. Our next show is Skull Island on Netflix. It shares the same world as Monarch Legacy of Monsters and fills in the gaps of what happened on the island before the Godzilla vs. Kong movies. We're on the high seas with a group of explorers and scientists searching for a shipwreck, but things go south when they rescue a girl named Annie from the ocean. And before they can get her story, a massive sea monster attacks their ship and leaves them shipwrecked. So they wash up on Skull Island where everything is trying to eat them. But their biggest problem is that they walked right into the territory of Kong. And while they're trying to find each other and get off the island alive, they realize Kong is the only thing standing between them and a much worse ancient evil that's waking up. The show was created by Brian Duffield, who's behind Love and Monsters. And it's animated by the team behind Castlevania, so you already know the action looks incredible. And while it's technically in limbo for season 2, the story is continuing in a brand new comic series called Escape from Skull Island. Plus, with the new season of Monarch currently airing and heading back to the island, there's never been a better time to see where it all started. This next one is a little different. There's no talking, but the action is so gory and visceral you won't even care. Primal is set in a prehistoric world where the only rule is kill or be killed. And we start with Spear, a Neanderthal who experiences a tragedy so brutal it almost breaks him. But at the exact same time, he encounters Fang, a female T-Rex who's going through the same thing. But instead of killing each other like nature intended, these two form a silent pact. And from that moment on, it's them against a world of bat monsters, giant spiders, and a plague that turns dinosaurs into unstoppable zombies. There are 3 seasons out right now, and the creator has hinted that a 4th season could pivot to new stories in the same universe. Then we have Terminator Zero, which takes place in 1997 on the eve of Judgment Day in Tokyo. Judgment Day, as we know, is the moment the self-aware military AI called Skynet decides humanity is a threat and launches a global nuclear strike to wipe everyone out. But a scientist named Malcolm Lee has been seeing this apocalypse in his dreams, so he spent his life building a rival AI named Kokoro to save humanity. But Skynet isn't just going to let him finish his work. It sends a Terminator from the future to eliminate Malcolm and his 3 kids. So to protect the Lee family, the Resistance in the future sends a soldier named Aiko. And while Aiko is fighting the literal killing machine, Malcolm is trapped in a philosophical debate with his own AI because Kokoro isn't sure she even wants to save us. So now Malcolm has to prove that humanity is actually worth saving while the world is starting to burn down around him. Unfortunately, the show was cancelled, but the first season works as a self-contained story, so you won't be left on a cliffhanger. Next up is Twilight of the Gods, and it has lots of nudity, extreme violence, and some pretty dark themes. In the very first episode, the wedding of King Leif and the fierce giantess warrior Sigrid turns into a bloodbath when Thor shows up and massacres Sigrid's people. So Sigrid and Leif decide they've had enough of the gods and assemble a suicide squad of outcasts to take them down. They even get a little help from Loki, who has his own reasons for wanting to see his brother fail. So now the group has to trek across the 9 realms on a desperate mission of vengeance. And they're going to have to cut through frost giants, legendary beasts, and their own trauma. The show's the brainchild of Zack Snyder, and it provides an unfiltered take on Norse mythology that doesn't sugarcoat how messed up the gods were. And while earlier reports confirmed work on a 2nd season, it unfortunately seems to have been cancelled. But if you're looking for another masterpiece to fill that revenge void, Blue Eye Samurai is the perfect choice. It takes you to 17th century Japan when the borders are closed and being mixed race is a death sentence. There we follow Mizu, a master swordsman hunting 4 white men who were in the country illegally when she was born. She thinks one of them is her father and the one who made her what she calls a monster. And since the world she's traveling through is dangerous, she disguises herself as a man and hides her blue eyes behind tinted glasses. Her first target is Abijah Fowler, and he's a terrifyingly charismatic Irish arms dealer who's plotting to topple the shogun with illegal guns. And to get to him, she has to cut through a literal army of assassins, corrupt officials, and the underworld of Japan. And along the way, she picks up an overeager, handless cook named Ringo and a rival samurai named Taigen. She also crosses paths with a princess called Akemi who's fighting for her own freedom. Blue Eye Samurai is praised for its breathtaking fight choreography and its incredibly mature and emotional story. It premiered in November 2023 with 8 episodes of 45 to 60 minutes, and Season 2 is officially in production. But it's looking like a late 2026, early 2027 release date, so you still have time to get caught up. Then there's Scavengers Reign on Max. It starts when a deep space cargo ship gets wrecked by a solar flare and the crew ends up scattered across an alien planet called Vesta. So they have to trek across thousands of miles of alien terrain to find their downed ship, but they don't have gear, so they have to hack the planet's weird biology to stay alive. And the deeper they push, the more the planet starts trying to rewrite their DNA. Which is how we meet Ozzy. She's a tough-as-nails cargo specialist trying to keep her robot companion from evolving into something alien. You've also got the ship's captain, Sam, and a botanist named Ursula, who are forced into a begrudging partnership where they have to trust the very plants that are actively trying to kill them. There's also Cayman, who's completely isolated and starving until he strikes a telepathic relationship with a creepy creature that starts feeding on his trauma. The art style's like a vintage 70s sci-fi comic, and it's easily one of the most original sci-fi I've seen in decades. And while it started on Max, it moved to Netflix, but they chose not to order a season 2, so the show is still in limbo. Last but not least is Pantheon. It centers on a bullied teenager named Maddie who starts getting messages from her dead father, whose consciousness was scanned and uploaded to the cloud by a shady tech company. But he's not the only one up there, and some of the other digital ghosts are starting to lose their grip on reality. So now Maddie is caught in the middle of a global conspiracy and has to team up with a genius hacker named Caspian to uncover the truth. And Caspian has his own messed up life to deal with because his parents seem to be part of a larger experiment. There's also a sort of digital arms race between the companies in different countries, and they're all trying to control this godlike technology. And as more people get uploaded, the line between the real world and the internet starts to completely vanish. The show first aired in 2022, then was cancelled by AMC despite season 2 being fully finished. But then Prime swooped in and saved it, releasing the second and final season in late 2023. And that wraps up our list. Go watch these shows and come tell me which one got you the most hyped in the comments. And if I missed a show that's just as visceral and addictive, let us know so we can add it to our watch list. But before you go, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next recommendations.